Hello, it's another great day, and we are super excited to be back again in another series of the Scrum Chat Room. It's always a great session being here with you and having this wonderful conversation on how you can become a better Agile practitioner. And I'm so much in the love of the topic we're going to be discussing today. It kind of really, I would say, one of those masters topic you're going to expect when you're looking into Agile. How to succeed. How to succeed. Now, it's a space for many of us to ask our question. It's a space to also learn from the expert. And the special guest I have for today, uh, trust me, if you're not asking her questions, you're definitely not doing yourself any favor. Right. One of the reasons we come out is to make sure that you have that opportunity for us to go through some of the stuff to learn what is happening inside so that you can become better, whether you are at the beginning of your career in Agile, whether you're in the middle of the career, whether you want to move to the next level. There is so much to learn about Agile, and that's one of the reasons we are here. And I have the privilege to introduce our guest speaker for today, Dr. Gloria, all the way from the DMV. Hello, Dr. Gloria. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Hello, hello. Thanks for having me. How are you doing today?
I am doing perfect, and I'm definitely very excited for this session. Number one, it's one of my favorite topic. Coming from the space of business coaching and leadership, and also being in the space of coaching, sometimes it's important to pause from the aspect of just asking question, technical question on interviews to reflect what is the whole process? What must I do to succeed? What must I do to move to the next level? So I think it's a very important topic, and I'm super excited to have you as a guest. All right. So, to our audience, let us know where you're connecting us from so that we can give you a quick shout out before we get started for today. And if you want to do it good to also kind of click the like button, share so that someone can join us. And they are definitely going to thank you that you invited them, invited them to this space. So while we do that, Coach Gloria, I want us to take our very first question. Now, a lot of folks might be joining us for the first time, and they might be wondering, what are we talking about? Agile, Scrum. Why is it even important? Why should I listen when someone is talking about Agile and Scrum? And I want to give you a go ahead to come to kind of open up with this general overview so that our audience can kind of fill in so that when we're moving ahead, they have an understanding of what we're talking about. Please, over to you.
Yes. So Agile and Scrum. I'm going to keep it very simple, right? Not to confuse you. So I'll keep it very simple. So Agile, right? It's a way of working, right? It's a way of working where you have a lot of big companies who are working on various projects. Let's say they want to develop a software and they're looking for a style of working, right? So Agile is a way of working where you can get work completed. And under Agile, it has a couple frameworks. And one of those frameworks is Scrum, right? Which is why a lot of you want to become Scrum Masters. One of those frameworks is Scrum. And with Scrum and Agile, you get to do work in little chunks, right? We work in 2 weeks cycles. You start working in 2 week cycles, then you inspect your work, right? Let's say you present your work to the stakeholder, you get feedback from the stakeholder, you go back and you incorporate that feedback into your work. So you're doing chunks, working incrementally until you finally deliver something at the end. So that's in a nutshell, to keep it very simple, that's what Agile and Scrum is. And now where the Scrum Master comes in with these teams that are practicing Agile, right? Then you come in as the Scrum Master on these teams and you're helping these teams deliver value. It's like you're in charge of the processes, right? You're there to help the team become successful and deliver value. You're on mute, Doug. Yes.
Thank you very much, Coach Gloria. I think that was like very straight and precise. Guys, this is one of the reasons I said you need to ask all your questions so you can get as very clear, precise, and detailed responses like this. So there we have an overview of what Agile is all about. Now you kind of highlight what companies are looking for and what Agile actually does. The question, someone that might be watching us today and is listening, and probably they're actually getting an interest based on what they're talking. They're like, oh, can I also become a Scrum Master? Oh, if it's that simple, if it's this straightforward, the way you're explaining it. So, who can become a Scrum Master? Let's take that question first, and then we are going to now move into some of the stuff that might be limiting the people that are on the way. So, the question for you is, who can become a Scrum Master?
Yes, who can become a Scrum Master? Good question. So, being a Scrum Master has a lot to do with your soft skills.
Yeah,
It has a lot to do with your soft skills. You have to be a people person, right? Every day on the job, you're talking to people, you're communicating with people. You have to know how to communicate with people, right? You have to know how to communicate, be able to pass on messages. You have to be a good listener. You're going to be listening a lot, sitting in meetings that you're coordinating, meetings that you're facilitating, and doing a lot of active listening. So you have to be a good listener. You have to be a good communicator. You have to be organized as well. Because when you start working, you may be working with multiple teams. You may have two teams, right? Or maybe three. So you would need to be very organized, keeping track of your to-do list, keeping track on what to follow up on, right? And then you have to be able to help your teams, right, deliver value. And there's so many ways in helping your teams deliver value, helping them removing impediments, helping them removing blockers. You don't have to have all of the answers, but you have to know how to direct them to the right person, direct them to the right place so that that problem can get solved. And you also have to be able to lead by example,
yeah.
right? You have to be able to lead by example. And what does that mean? For example, a simple example, you have meetings set up every day. You
Mm,
have to show up on time to those meetings,
that's
right?
right.
You show up on time to the meeting so that your team members can be able to show up on time to those meetings as well. If you're coming in late 10 minutes after the meeting, 15 minutes after the meeting, then what do you expect from your team members? So being able to lead by example, being understanding, being empathetic, you need a lot of soft skills. If you have all of those things, then you can become a great scrum master.
Okay, now from what you're saying is someone who has a personality, they organize, the discipline, they have some leadership quality, you're a people person. If you have these capabilities, then you can become a scrum master. Now let's move to more or less like the qualification. Like some people think, oh, I need to go to school to get a bachelor in Scrum to become a Scrum Master. Oh, I need to have a bachelor in computer science. Oh, I need to have. So, based from that aspect, what are we looking for to someone that says, you know what, I'm interested in starting a career. What do I really need? Is it only for some specific people who can find themselves in this space?
Yes, good point. So, in addition to your soft skills, right, to
Yeah.
become a Scrum Master, you need to first start by learning the knowledge. And there's so many ways where you can learn the knowledge. Maybe you can join a school, right? Not a school, right? A program like RADA, for example, where you can get classes and learn the material. And when you learn the material, it allows you to take your certifications, one certification or two, like your CSM, your Certified Scrum Master, or your PSM, your Professional Scrum Master one, right? Those things are pretty straightforward. They don't take a long time. So it allows you to take that certification. So you're certified as a Scrum Master, right? Because companies are looking for that. It's a pretty straightforward certification. So once you take those certifications, now you have that knowledge. And it's not just about taking the certifications, it would allow you to actually learn what Agile and Scrum is all about, the values, the frameworks, the Agile manifesto, the team composition, who is part of a Scrum team. It's going to
Mhm.
go get down to the nitty gritty of what you will be seeing on the job, right? So learning all of those things. And then in addition to that, I would say that joining a community of practice is super important, right? It's
Yeah.
not just taking a class, taking a certification, joining a community of practice. I promise you, you're going to see long term benefits from that. So, you join a community of practice where you have like minded people like yourself, where you get to collaborate with those people, you get to learn with those people, right? People share projects, right? You get to, and then also sticking to talking to working scrum masters. In a community of practice, you'll find working scrum masters. You get to talk to them, you get to ask them questions. You get to ask them about their projects. Hey, what projects are you working on? What tools are you using on the job? You're going to start learning all of those things. So taking a class, getting certified, joining a community of practice, all of those things are important in really preparing you to become a Scrum Master. In addition to those soft skills.
Thank you very much, Coach Gloria. And kind of just to add, uh, it takes just about 16 hours or so to learn to sit in a classroom, and sometimes you don't even have to, like PSM, you can learn on your own, and you get that certification, Scrum Master. Now on the job, we are not on the job now in the interview market. We've seen a lot of people from the coaching perspective talk to every day. It's like, you know what? Oh, I'm certified as Scrum Master. I've been interviewing. Nobody's calling me. I don't have a job. What do I need to do? And all of that. Now, you spoke about a community of practice. Now, the people, if you go through the Scrum Guide, which is just about 12, 10, 12 pages, right? It gives you an idea. Is
Mhm.
that enough for you to study? Or let's say that you sit in a Scrum Alliance class, in a safe class, you get that certification. Is the next step to get your resume and start applying, or is that information enough to start applying?
No, that information is not enough to start applying, in my opinion, right? If you truly want to take this Scrum journey very serious and be able to do good on the job, that information is not enough. Once you take those certifications, you take that class, you take that certification, it's good to join a community of practice. And in that community of practice, you're going to benefit from so many different things. For example, interview prep, right? They're going to help you interview. They're going to
Yeah.
talk about projects, right? You're going to start hearing about projects, a data migration project, a web application project, a mobile application project, a modernization project. You're going to start hearing about all of these different projects and learning what these things mean. You're going to start picking up on those technical terms that you'll be hearing once you start working as a Scrum Master. In addition to that, you're going to start learning and seeing and practicing various tools that are used on the job. For example, Jira,
Mhm.
Confluence, Agile DevOps. Right, you're gonna get hands-on experience with these tools that you're going to be using on the job. So, taking a class and taking a certification, no, I'm sorry, that is not enough for you to get a Scrum job and start working. You're not even going to be ready to get a Scrum job. And remember, getting a Scrum job, you have to really do good at your interview. So just taking a course is not going to let you do good at your interview. And do you know why? Because when you go to your interviews, you're going to speak as somebody who has just read a book. Right. But at interviews, you need to talk as somebody who has practiced. You need to speak with scenarios. When I was working, one of my teams, we were working on a project. We had two team members who were conflicting, and you're going to have to speak as someone who has been in a job environment, right? So you're going to have to talk with scenarios, give examples of things that happen on the job. And where can you get this type of scenarios? When you join a community of practice, you shadow working Scrum Masters, you're working on an actual project, you're going to get all of those scenarios from that community of practice. It's going to feel like you're actually on a job, right? But you're just not getting paid, you're just learning. So taking a certification class, that is not enough. You need to join a community of practice, and that community of practice is going to help you in various ways, prepare you for an interview, help you have scenarios for interviews. So when you talk, you can give them examples. Hey, when I was working with the Scrum team, a team of 5, it was a small team of 5. We were working on a data migration project. One problem we faced was X, Y, and Z, right? A community of practice will give you all of those problems, all of those scenarios, and then you also learn how to use various tools so you can speak to those things when you go to interviews. So no, taking a certification is not enough. You have to add a community of practice where you really interview prep. Preparing for that interview is key, because if you don't do good at the interview, they will not give you an offer, right? So you need to do good at your interviews.
Gloria, I felt like you just gave a very big expo for those who are actually struggling. And they're like, oh, I don't know why I'm getting to the next phase, to the fifth phase, to the sixth phase. I'm not getting it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So I'm sure many of you already have identified what you might be missing in your whole process. And now she's talking about a community of practice, and many of you like, what do you mean by community of practice? Where do I actually get this community of practice? Now, we run a community of practice. I just want to give you an idea when we talk about community of practice, what exactly it means. I'll give you a very quick scenario. Let's assume that uh, you're 18 and you're very good in basketball. And then you join a training session. After training, let's say for 1 year, by 19, you start playing at a national level. Now, when they look at you, what are they going to say? You're playing as someone that has been there for 20, 30 years. Nobody will ever tell if you train only for 1 year. But the reason you have that result is because you have been in a place of practice. Now, we cannot overemphasize on this. And the reason why we're saying this is because many people are kind of really struggling in the process and they don't know exactly what to do. Right. So it's very important you get in. And for those who are interested, you can actually reach out to us. Look at it, the bar below. There's detail on how you can send a text or send an email. We can definitely tell you what is the next step to do. Right. Now, let's go to the next phase of our conversation today. It's a very important question. The reason we are here is not to tell you to join our community of practice. The reason we're here is to give you what you're missing in the whole process so that you can learn what it takes to actually close the gap. I know one of the things which a lot of people will be very much interested to learn about, which we're going to talk about it, is how do I get a good resume? And it's a good resume enough to get me the job. We are going to talk about that. And we have the queen of resume actually here to give you that. But before we go to that question, um, let's talk about what are some of the challenges people who are in the process before you get ever land your first Scrum Master job? Now, guys, one of the things we definitely do is giving you the way it is, right? We're not marketing, we're giving you the way it is. Almost an average, there's no, maybe right now we have a couple of communities that are now, or universities now are now offering maybe masters in agile management or so, but an average scrum master definitely did not go to school for a scrum master job, and most of the people who started as scrum masters have never been scrum master before. Now we want to talk about the process of getting, which I think Coach Gloria already addressed a lot on that, getting into a community of practice so that you can leverage the language of a Scrum Master before actually getting there. We want to talk about coping through the processes of getting your first job, the rejection from recruiters. Okay, I'm submitting you, you never hear back from them. All right, there's an interview. After that interview, you wait for a whole month, you don't get to hear back from anybody, and all of that. Because all right, now to someone who is in the process,
Mm.
You've been through the process, which you that's why this question is coming to you. What would you say was your coping strategy when you were looking for your first position?
Okay. What was my coping strategy? Interesting. Um, what was my coping strategy? So I exhibited a lot of patience,
Yeah,
a lot of patience. You have to be patient, right? You set your goals. So I set goals for myself. I'm a very goal oriented person. So I would advise you to set some goals for yourself, right? And even give yourself a timeline, but don't be too hard on yourself. If that timeline comes and there's not an offer yet, right? Set some goals for yourself. I did that for myself, and I gave myself a timeline. Now, me giving myself that timeline made me go really hard. And when I say that, I mean I studied hard, right? Instead of studying an hour or 2 hours a day, I did 3 hours a day or 4 hours a day. I studied really hard. I studied double because I gave myself a short time frame. For example, if you can get into a good community of practice and give yourself 3 months and you'll get a job, honestly, if you do everything right, you'll get a job. So giving yourself that short time frame means that you have to put in more work,
yeah.
right? So you have to put in more work. You have to study more. You have to listen to a lot of videos, take notes, write notes down. So you have to do double the work. And it's very possible because it happened for me, right? I got multiple offers. So giving yourself a short time frame, setting those goals, and then really studying. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. Just really studying to know your material and understanding your material. And then studying, doing a lot of preparation, interview prep, talking out loud. Because when you go to interviews, you're going to sit in front of a computer screen like this,
Yeah,
and you'll be talking and conversating with the interviewer, doing a
that's
lot of practice. So important. Please do not go to your interviews without doing practice, without practicing in front of your computer. Practice with somebody. Get a coach, a working scrum master. Hey, do you mind interviewing me? Do not wait when your interview is coming up to start preparing. No, prepare ahead of time. Prepare ahead of time. Keep practicing, right? And you're going to become better at this. The more you do it, you become better at it. And once you start interviewing, you may get some no's. That's okay. That's okay. You learn from the situation. You can even record your interviews,
yeah.
right? Have your cell phone to the side, put it on record your interview. So after that interview, you can re-listen to it, or you can send it to a coach and have a coach listen to it and kind of critique you and give you advice on what you should do better next time. Use every interview as a learning experience to do better on your next, right? Don't beat yourself up, just exhibit a lot of patience, right? Also pray, talk to God. If this is something you really want, be pray, talk to God about it, and be serious about it, and be patient. And if you do certain things, do everything the right way, the job will come. Now there's various steps, but we'll get into that later.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Coach Gloria. Now, one of the reasons I asked Coach Gloria that question, and she's definitely has given you a very simple approach to that. Uh, I happened to partner with her during her journey. I think she used less than 60 days to land multiple offers, not just one offers. And now this is just to say, she said one thing, set goals. If you want it faster, you need to do the work. Coach Catherine will say, if you want a six-figure job, do the six-figure work, right? And it's not just about. I think one of the stuff I love about Coach Gloria is no excuses. It doesn't matter what you're going through, right? Because many people set to fail before they start. It's like, oh, you know what? I need her, but I just want to let you know that I can only meet at 6 o'clock, or I cannot do anything around these because so they come with a whole bucket of excuses and then they are expecting to skate through. One of the things about changing a career, especially those who are about to break in, is not just the fact that you know. Now you're moving to a position higher. You're working against gravity, as nature will tell you, which
Mhm.
means that even sleep is going to fight you not to wake up at the time you need to wake up. So you must have an internal energy that is bigger than what you are previously getting at, right? So it the mindset is very important. Setting goals is very important. Being true to yourself is very important. Pushing yourself harder is very important. Now, one of the things which is also very important, I think Coach Gloria also touched a bit about that, is getting the right certification. The right certification. Many people all only have a PSM, and you're competing against someone that has an IC Agile, has a SAFe certification, have the PO certification, have an ROT certification, and you're wondering, I'm not getting an interview. Now, many people do not even know how to put together a compiling resume, and they're wondering, I'm not getting an interview. Now, these are things that you must cross validate with expert. Now, when we talk about expert, especially when we're talking about the space of resume writing, we're not talking about resume writer with all due respect to resume writers. Now, I can write a resume as a resume writer, which can go for the generic market. But when it comes to a competitive space like Scrum, you don't need a generic resume writer. You need an expert that has been in there to look through and tell you exactly what you're missing in the process. Now, Coach Gloria, that takes me to my next question. And my next question is very simple. Why do many give up in the process? Why do many people give up? Like, oh, I spoke to somebody, I think a couple of days ago. It's like, I started doing Scrum 4 years ago, and for some reason I'm still there. And I was like, okay, 4 years ago, and you're telling us 90 days. Someone has been doing it for 4 years. So, and the people that are like, no, you know what, the market is too saturated. I'm not there. So, why do you think many people give up or many people never attend the result?
Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one. Why do many people give up, or some don't even attend the results?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm gonna take it back a little. I'm gonna take it back a little with a little story. I think a lot of people, a lot of us, right? A lot of people heard about IT, and IT is great, which it is. You
Mhm.
can work from home, right? You can work from home. It's flexible, nice work-life balance. You can make six figures. It's a great job. It is, right? And then you said to yourself, okay, I want to do IT, right? Then you get into it and you don't put in the work. You want a six-figure job, you don't put in the right work, right? You want a six-figure job, but you're not putting in a six-figure effort. You want a real job to work for a real company and work with real teams and help these teams deliver value to a company, then you're going to have to put in the work. So a lot of people, first of all, have that expectation of thinking that they don't need to do much. They're going to do a little bit and they'll get a job in IT, and then they're going to work in IT, right? But that's not the way it is. Maybe many years ago, but that's not the way it is right now. We're in 2024. That's not the way the market is. The market is demanding. Are there jobs? Oh, yes, there are jobs. Are they giving offers? Oh, yes, they're giving offers, but it's demanding. They're demanding more from people. So what that means is when you make up your mind to go into Scrum, you have to keep in the back of your mind that there's going to be some work that you need to put in. You're going to have to put in some work to know this material, learn this material, actually know what it is you're talking about, be able to support your teams, be able to add value to your teams, right? And that's why I'm going to keep talking about a community of practice, because there's no way around it. Where do you expect to learn all of these things? Where do you think you're going to learn all of these things? You need a community of practice. It's very important. And not even before you get the job, even after you get the job, you still need a community of practice, right? So a lot of people give up because they had that little expectation. They thought that they were going to go in, put in a little bit of work and get a job offer, and then they started doing it and they saw that, oh no, I'm not getting offers. I'm interviewing, I'm not getting the job. Why? Because you're going to interviews and you're not delivering. They ask you questions. Maybe you're talking as if you're reciting the Scrum guide. You're speaking in theory. You're not speaking as somebody who actually worked on a real job. You're not speaking in practice. You're not giving scenarios. And if you keep doing that at interviews, they won't you will not get the offer, right? At interviews, they're looking for someone who can prove that they've been on a job, who can talk with scenarios, that practical knowledge, right? So that's why a lot of people don't see success in Scrum, and then some people just give up.
Yeah.
If you go in knowing that I have to put in a lot of work and this work will pay off at the end, then you go in, you do all of those things, then you're going to see success at the end.
I do agree with you, Coach Gloria, and I quite remember. I think the whole of today we've been spending about 5 6 hours preparing people in the process. And one of the things we do is to help people, in order to help people go through the journey, is walk them through multiple internal interview, so that by the time they're sitting in front of the interviewer, they know exactly what to say, they know exactly what they need to do. And I also happen to be part of the people who interview people for my company. And I remember we interview a lady. I'm like, can you tell us the definition of done and the definition of ready? And she said, the definition of done means the work is done, and the definition of ready means that we could not say it better. Now, just imagine you and before we got to that interview, we have shortlisted. That was the one the recruiting company sent over to us.
Mhm.
They sent over about 15 resumes is shortlisted, and then we went internally and shortlisted three. The first three we want to interview before we move to the next phase. Now, she had a very good resume, right? But then you could not correlate the person on the resume and the person who was talking, which is where we're talking about that gap and why people need to practice. Now, what I also want to put through, the person whom we actually hire, she came in with her phone. She was like, obviously people would not kind of an interviewer would not accept that. That's not a good practice. But she was the one we hired because when she spoke, we could like everybody was listening. She took charge. Now,
Mhm.
while she was interviewing, calls were coming in. She was like, "Oops, hold on." She was so confident about what she knew. We
Mhm.
could we could not resist but bring her in. And she's
Right.
actually making that difference, right? This is the importance of a community of practice. You could see that this is someone that has taken the time, master what they need to do, and over and over and over and over again. And this doesn't mean that she actually became very perfect on one instant. It is being about leveraging the coping strategy that Dr. Clara just shared with us,
Mhm.
knowing that rejection is going to come, but it's a learning process. And one of the things which is very difficult, which is why many people give up, is the fact that they have not been trained to take hard feedback. So they go for an interview and they receive a hard feedback.
Mhm.
They go under depression for 2 months.
Yes.
Sorry to say that, guys, but we're trying to make it real. Now,
Yeah.
after 2 months, like, okay, now you've forgotten everything that you learned, which means you're going back to like 3 months again to start to catch up. So you need consistency.
Mhm.
And one of the way to stay consistent is to invest in yourself and be among people who are thinking the same like you. So that's like the easiest route to get up there. Now, let's kind of move from there to the next challenge, which I actually know a couple of people who actually did their self studies, interviews, and they got
Mhm.
a job. But I also know a lot of them. The reason I know a lot of them, or the reason I know many of them, is because when they get in there, they cannot cope. so that they need to look for emergency help. Now, imagine you have to run an event tomorrow. You have no idea on what to do. You need to stay up all night to find a solution,
Mm,
which is just because you're missing out all of these strategies. Some people say, okay, whenever I get a job, I will need help. Some
mm,
people say, whenever I get an interview, now you're scheduled for an interview tomorrow. Maybe that was your only chance. But then at this point, you're willing to, let's say, pay somebody $500 to prep you overnight, which definitely is not going to help you. And this is also what I've seen why many people fall victims. Like, oh, I've been to this community, because they don't take their time to do even their own personal homework. So they cannot differentiate between what is right or what is wrong. Now, Coach Gloria, that is taking us now to our next question. And I think, oh, there was a question from the audience I would like us to take. I think I missed that out. um, I think this was from Pascal. I studied more and I took an interview and they said my level was too high for them and I got very discouraged. What do I do again?
interesting. I think we would need more context on this question. Um, you studied more and they said your level was too high for them. We'll need more context on this question. Um,
Okay. All
mm,
right. So a couple of cases that may happen, right? A
mhm,
couple of cases that may happen. Number one is you need to master how you interview.
mhm,
Now, why do I say that? We actually talk with a lot of people on a day in, day out. And sometimes you're going to ask somebody a very simple question. How do you run your sprint planning? And they are going to start telling you the definition of Fibonacci sequence, why it's very important, how they created it, and all of that, right? So, in that case, the people you're talking to don't understand you. Your manager and the people who are interviewing, they're not looking for a definition of Fibonacci sequence. They're not looking for how where you can explain how they use the Moscow technique, they use the WestJet to prioritize backlog and all of that. Trust me, nobody's looking for that. They're looking for a very simple, straightforward. We need to make sure we are ready 2 days before. We need to make sure that we know it's available. We need to make sure that everybody know what it can take. We need to make sure that we're working towards what is important for business. That's
mhm,
all we need to. Now, this is as a result of you understanding all the complicated issue that we have discussed. So if you go to your interview and you're trying to prove them with definitions or so, 2 days ago, Coach Gloria, someone sent me a message.
mhm.
And when I read that message, I was on my feet. It got me laughing for about 5 minutes. Why? Because the person was so structural, a
Mm,
lot, very, I would say, Harvard language, about 2 paragraphs,
wow.
and stating clearly, I've been following you, and all of these, and all of these, and all of these, and all of. But what they wanted to communicate at the end was simply, how do I join your community of practice? Read 2 paragraphs to get to that one question.
Wow.
Now, this is an aspect that is missing.
Mhm,
Most often, we also all due respect to those who are teaching Scrum and so. Not everybody is a career coach. Everybody can teach. You teach based on what you know. So nobody can stop anyone from teaching.
mhm.
But there's a difference between teaching and helping someone to translate that knowledge to what gives them result, which is where many people are missing. Oh,
Yeah.
I've studied Scrum, yes, but then you've not studied it in a way that when many people join our community,
Mhm.
most often I'm the frontliner, one of the person they talk to. It's like, oh, I've already done this, I've done this, I've done this, and I only need A, B, C, D. I said, that's not a problem. When you come in and you meet my team and they grant you an access interview, we are able to tell what you need. And when many of them come in,
Mm-hmm.
they can answer even the first two questions. And now you can now see what you were given to interviewer thinking you know actually nothing.
Expose the gaps.
Yes, expose the gap. Right. So I think that was our first question. Many people struggle. Now let's switch into the context. What really happened on your day to day at the job? What is the difference between someone that will make it while they're on the job and someone that will have a very difficult day and sweating on their feet, even when the room is at 67 degree Fahrenheit? So from a coaching perspective, right, you actually work with many scrum masters. What have you seen and what can you share with our listener?
Yes, day to day on the job, and how would someone be successful on the job? It starts from you knowing your material, right? You can't skip that part, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty about it. I think the material of Agile and Scrum is actually, it's not a lot, and it's so easy to consume and understand. So that's the beauty about Agile and Scrum. So knowing that material, right, before you go into these jobs, understanding all of your Scrum events, right? These are the things that you facilitate on a day to day. So truly understanding those Scrum events, what happens at each of the events, right? So that you can really bring value to your team members. And then on the day to day, for example, we can have two of those Scrum events. Some days we will have just one, right? For example, a daily stand up would have that every day. It's a very short meeting. We'll have that meeting every day. And then let's say later on in the afternoon, we have another Scrum event. Maybe we have a backlog refinement session. It's an hour meeting. So you have that. And then you have the rest of the day. You may have a random meeting um, with your PO, or you could have a Scrum of Scrum meeting. There are various meetings, random meetings you could have. And then throughout the day as well, you're going to check your emails. You're going to check your team's messages, because they always come in. The emails are coming in. You have to open them, read them. Some of them need a reply. Some of them don't need a reply, right? But you have to check your emails. You have to check your team's chat. It's where we chat and message each other back and forth, because somebody could be messaging you something important. So you also want to check your messages and see that. And then listening out to your team members. When you had your daily stand up, they could have called an impediment, a blocker. They could have said they were facing something, right? So when that meeting ends, it's your job to help them solve that, remove that blocker. Maybe you have to go follow up with somebody. Maybe you have to go send an email to the RTE, or to the Agile coach, or to an architect, to help solve that problem, help remove that blocker, right? So you're facilitating meetings on the day to day. You're going to have tasks on your to do. So you're doing things on your to do list as well, right? Just helping your team members deliver value, helping them finish their work, helping them meet their sprint goals. So that's what you're doing really on the day to day. And you have to keep in mind that every environment is different. Every environment is very different. You may speak to one scrum master and they tell you, I support three teams, right? Meaning that instead of one daily stand up,
Yeah.
they're going to have three daily stand ups. You may speak to another scrum master and they tell you they support just one team. So that
Okay.
day, they would have just one daily stand up. So environments, companies are different. But now, where the success comes from you is going to go back to those soft skills, in addition to you knowing that material, your soft skills, being able to communicate, being able to empathize, being a good leader, being a good listener, you leading by example. All of those soft skills will play a part on your day to day success. Being tough, for lack of a better word, having tough skin, because you can get this job. You may do something a little wrong, which is okay, and then the developer may correct you. The developer may say, "Hey, Stephanie, this is not how it's done. This is not how our previous Scrum Master did this, right?" But as a leader, be able to listen and take in critique, right? It's okay. Learn from it. Having that tough skin, emotional toughness, right, is going to help you be successful on the job. In addition to truly knowing the material, you cannot skip knowing the material.
Perfect. And I do agree with you. Sometimes the reason why a lot of people get into a very panic mode at work is because they don't have that confidence, and most often because they're also not aware of what they need to do. Now, as a coach or as a scrum master, your success or your ability to succeed on the job is not that you know it all, is
Mm-mm.
that you know how to get the answers. Right. So your ability, now one of the thing you must understand is that at any time fear set in, you lose your bearings,
Mhm.
which means that you don't even know who to ask and you cannot even think for a second. But you overcome that. One of the way to overcome that is by being in the middle of people you can ask. Just imagine, I think many of you will actually have people you talk to a lot. You ask yourself, why do you talk to these people a lot? Because whenever something's going on wrong, like your first die, right? Okay, let me call this person. And then, so it's very important when we talk about even when you're on the job. A lot of people lose their job because they work in isolation. You're working the whole day up to leaving your desk at 6 o'clock. You're
Yeah.
getting home on a very hot day, you move into the next day. I quite remember there was team, someone I coached about 2 years back.
Mhm.
They were about to quit their job, and someone referred them to me. And when I listened to them, they were basically crying. And
Oh,
I said, "Okay, tell me what's going on." So she's
yes.
about to quit. What was she about to quit? Her manager was on her case. Her manager would literally come to her meeting, sit and listen. Immediately after the meeting, pin her. You're not being hard on your team. You're not using this. You're not using this, and all of that. Now, imagine someone is constantly, after every call, they're calling you not to say you did a good job, but to complain, which is really draining. One of the hardest
Yeah.
parts of being a scrum master is dealing with people. Dealing with people is one of the most hardest stuff. Why?
Mhm.
Because naturally people are entitled. They feel like because I'm your boss, you need to do this. Because I'm your boss, I need to talk to you the way I like it or not.
Yep.
And when they did that, the simplest question I gave them, I said, okay, look, the next time your manager call you to such a session, said, okay, so all right, Teresa, I'm really glad you're telling me this, and I'm willing to do my best. What exactly would you want me? I'm willing to learn. Tell me, what exactly is missing in the picture, and how will you want me to progress in the next meeting? And that was the last time she had such confrontation after the meeting. Now, this is just to tell you most often the answer you're looking for is not complicated. It's just how do we communicate it? The same thing happens to those who are looking for a job. What is missing is not that you have not right, it's not that you don't know it. How to say it is missing. And Coach Gloria, that's going to take us to our next question. So we'll do two more questions. And
And
yes,
may I add? And
yeah,
even when you're working on the job, another important thing is the beauty about it is there's information everywhere out there.
that's right.
Right. Then there's so many tools you can use to grab information from. Now the thing is, sometimes you may not even know what to search for.
Mhm.
Right. You may not even know what to type, what to search for. That's why it's good to collaborate with other people, collaborate with other working scrum masters. Don't do it on your own, right? Because you're always learning new tips, new tricks. There's softwares that you can leverage to help you on the job, right? But you may not even know what to ask the software. You may not know what question to type, right? So keep in mind that it's not a one person thing. Go with a team and you're going to go far, right? Collaborate with other scrum masters and you're going to go far. And even when other scrum masters are leveling up, getting certifications, doing various things to increase their knowledge, it motivates you to do the same. And when you're able to do the same things, you're able to it's able to show on your job. You're able to bring value to your job, make your teams happy, your teams become more performing, and even make your manager happy, right? Like in the case where Doug just said, this person's manager was always complaining about something,
Yeah.
right? So those things will help you.
Yes. And thank you very much, Coach Gloria. That's a powerful one. many people say, oh, when it comes, oh, I heard Scrum is going away. I heard Scrum is too saturated. I heard there's no hope for Scrum. Do you think Scrum is going to stay, Gloria? Or what do you think Scrum is heading to?
Okay. I think Scrum is gonna stay for a while, right? It is going to stay, but when you get into Scrum, right,
Yeah,
the smart thing to do is to diversify, right? When you get those certifications, let's say you add a release train engineer certification,
yeah,
you add a POPM certification, meaning a product owner certification, product manager certification, you get your agile coach certification, you diversify, right? So that for example, let's say you're looking for a scrum job and you're not able to find one. Let's say you ended your contract, you're looking for your next contract role and
yeah.
you're not able to find something, you may be able to pick up a release train engineer role or
Mhm.
an agile coach role or a product owner role or a business analyst role, right?
Yeah.
They all really work hand in hand. So just being able to diversify, no, Scrum is not going anywhere, right? A lot of companies are actually switching to Agile, from waterfall to Agile. And companies doing all of this switching means what? They need Scrum Masters. So no, it's not going anywhere, right?
Yeah, and I do agree with you. It's not going anywhere. For instance, you don't only have to work as a Scrum Master.
Nope.
They are technical Agile program manager. They are looking for Agile project manager. They are looking for portfolio managers. All of this is Scrum. They are looking for release manager. They're looking for Jira admins.
Mhm.
All of this. So there's a whole lot you can zoom into. The limitation is when you go into Scrum for the job, and which is also where it's very hard for many people to get the job because they don't want to look beyond. I always tell people this. I said, when your dream is to get a Scrum job, it becomes so difficult to get it. But if you can dream, your dream is bigger than a Scrum job, then for you to go to your dream, you need to pass through a scrum job. So a scrum job is no longer a challenge. So for
Mhm.
many people, we need to change the way we think and look at far beyond. Many people in our community, when it becomes challenging for them, what happened? We push them to take higher certifications. Now their dream become bigger than Scrum. So there's definitely no way a Scrum job can escape them because they already know more than what a Scrum Master should know. So we challenge everyone to think beyond that way. And Coach Gloria, from a perspective of a coach, now, if you could summarize what you've just been discussing,
Mhm.
what is the pathway of an aspiring Scrum Master? Someone says, look, I've been hearing about this Scrum, Scrum, Scrum. I think when I listen to you today, I'm motivated. What should I do? Where should I start? What should be my next step in order to be successful?
Yes. You decided you want to become a Scrum Master. What should be your next step? Okay. So there is taking that class and getting those first certifications out of the way. You either take CSM, Certified Scrum Master, or PSM, Professional Scrum Master 1, whichever one you choose to. I took PSM, but I have friends who took CSM, right? The same thing. So the first thing is you take a class. There's so many online classes. Rada even offers a class for that. There are also so many online classes. So you take a class, you get that certification. The class is going to do two things for you. It's going to prepare you to learn and know that knowledge. You're going to finally say, oh, okay, now I understand what a Scrum Master does. Now I understand what the teams do. I understand what the ceremonies mean. Oh, now I get what the agile means, right? So that's what that class would do for you. One. Two, the class will also prepare you to take your certification exam. In the exam, once you understand the material, it's, to be honest with you, it's not hard. It's not hard. A lot of people pass those exams, so don't even be scared, right? So you're going to take your certification exam. You take your CSM or PSM, okay, now you're good to go. I'm going to advise you to add a SAFE certification to it, right? Because a lot of companies are practicing SAFE. So I'll advise you to add a SAFE certification to it. Please do. It's really going to help you stand out, right? Because you're going to be applying for jobs with other people like myself and my friends who have CSM, SAFE, RTE, project management. We have a lot of other certifications, right? So you don't want to just have one certification. So I would advise you to add a SAFE certification to it, right? And that SAFE certification is also going to come with a class. And you're actually going to learn how to be in a safe environment. It's going to add to your Scrum knowledge. It's really going to add to your Scrum knowledge. Now, once you take that SAFE certification, I would also advise you to join a community of practice, right? This sounds like a broken record, but
Yeah.
it's important. I would advise you to join a community of practice where in that community of practice, you're going to start learning the practicals of everything. That knowledge that you learned in taking those certification exams, you're going to put that knowledge now into an environment. You're going to put that knowledge into a project. You're going to put that knowledge into supporting teams, right? You're
Mm.
going to be able to see tools, Jira, Confluence, Azure DevOps, right? That's what a interview prep organization or community would do for you. So join an interview prep community where you just interview prepping, taking talking with your colleagues, talking to working Scrum masters, right? Asking them the challenges that they're facing on the job, asking them how they're overcoming those challenges, right? Because those are things that you can use as examples when you go to your interviews. So a
Mm.
lot of interview prep. And then that's not enough. Once you're interviewing prep, your resume, you start working on your resume. You will need a good resume. You will need people that for example from Radar, there's so many people in Radar that can look at resumes and help you get a really good resume. That's very important. So
Mm.
you need a good resume. You will need to fill up your LinkedIn profile,
Okay.
right? So we're gonna tell you all of those things. Some people don't even know this. Some people don't know that their LinkedIn profile has to be optimized. They don't even
Okay.
know this, right? So we'll tell you all of these things. Fix your LinkedIn profile, tell you what to add. Hey, add this, add that is going to help you fix your resume. And then you can start applying for jobs. And then we'll even tell you, go as far as telling you how to talk to recruiters. Because
Yep.
recruiters are going to call you for jobs, right? They're going to call you because you're applying for jobs now. You're going to see them emailing you, calling you. We're going to prep you, give you all, expose you to all of these things, how you can best talk to recruiters. It's very important, right? Some people talk to recruiters and they say they never hear back. They'll talk to 5 recruiters and they never hear back from those recruiters. Guess why? Because you're not talking to them the right way.
Right way. Yeah.
You're not, but you don't know this. You wouldn't know this, right? You don't know. So a community like Rada will expose you to all of those things: how to talk to recruiters, how to have a good resume, how to have a good LinkedIn profile, how to keep applying for jobs. And then as you're doing all of that, you're interview prepping and getting ready for when you get that interview, you go in there and you're gonna do a great job.
Wow. Great, great, great. And there's our star question, and I did promise our listener that we're gonna ask the star question before we wrap up for today. How do you prepare a resume that lands you multiple offers? Now the question is, can the resume alone land you? Now the resume is the key that opens the door, right? But then this what she just said are the things. If your resume open the door and you cannot do all of these things, then you're wasting your time. But let's look at some of the tips or what interviewers look for. What do interviewers look for in your resume?
Yes. That's a very good one, and it's very important. Even before putting your resume together, and just having companies in your resume, recruiters and companies look for somebody with maybe a diverse background, right? You've worked in various industries, having that diverse background. So they look for those things. And then keywords is very important.
Yeah.
A big thing is keywords. And even your resume being on LinkedIn, a big thing is keywords in your resume. Because when companies post a job, when they post a job, you will notice that they're looking for certain things. In that job, they may say that we're looking for somebody who has data migration experience, who has worked with a Kanban team and a Scrum team, right? So those keywords that they're looking for, you would want your resume to have a lot of those keywords.
Uh,
You would want your resume to really have a lot of those keywords, right? Because It's gonna make your resume come up in searches.
Yeah.
The companies and the recruiters, they use it, they use softwares on the computer. If you notice on LinkedIn, when you see a Scrum job and you look at it, it would have like 200 applicants.
Right.
One job would have 300 applicants. One job would have 100 people already applied. And
Mhm.
you're asking yourself, is my resume ever going to be looked at?
Yeah.
It's the keywords, right? So in Rada, we're going to expose you to all of those things, give you the keywords, really expose you to those things that are going to sell you. So your resume needs keywords, right? A good summary in terms of your bullet points in what you've done at each of the companies. Very organized and clean looking resume. Very organized, clean looking, diversify the companies that you've worked for, right? Even the current companies that you've worked for, you put them on there. I promise you, at your present companies, you're doing some aspects of Scrum and Agile,
Yeah.
right? So those companies can go on your resume. You're doing some aspect of Scrum and Agile at your current companies, and we'll tell you how, right? So put those companies, have those keywords, have tools and processes, have make sure your resume showcases your leadership skills,
Mhm.
right? And when you have all of those things in your resume, but the big one are the keywords. And we're going to expose you to all of those keywords. And then you're going to have a very selling resume, a very selling resume. And then one thing also, you will notice that sometimes you may apply for a job and a recruiter may call you, talk to you, and they tell you to update your resume and send it to them. So when they tell you to update your resume and send it to them, it's your job to make sure that you add those things that they're looking for, the things that you discuss with the recruiter, those specific things that were in that job description. It's your make sure you add it to your resume and then update it and send it to the recruiter. And that's how you're able to get the offers. That's how the hiring managers are able to select you for interviews.
Wow, that was a whole powerful one right there, Coach Gloria. And above all, somebody might be asking, how do I do all of these? And what is the way? Now, most of this stuff are what we call internal secret, right? So you need to get an internal secret. Some of this stuff are internal secret. So one of the stuff which, apart from you being in the process, or what definitely is going to help you not to give up, is to be able to understand how to build personal development. Many Scrum Master miss this out. Like, oh, I'm preparing for a job. You went for your first interview and you were put at the center and you use 1 month to recover. It's because you lack that personal development. So while we study Scrum at Brother, we also focus a lot on personal development, leadership, the mindset. How do you build your day? How do you overcome your day? It's very, very important for
There.
anyone who want to succeed as a leader. And this is the reason why one of the reasons I wrote this book. Get off your comfort zone. Many of you are too comfortable to have the result that you want. Trust me, you're too comfortable. What actually makes you to succeed, unlocking the path to exceptional success in everyday life. So it's a daily process, right? And many people like, oh, I've been in this journey for a very long time and I'm giving up. And I was like, you're giving up on your own life, which means I don't want to live any longer. I'm giving up. Well, that's what happened. Now, if something is really important to you, you will realize that when a pharmacy is going to school for 5, 6 years, they're not giving up. Why? They know exactly what they want.
Mhm.
Scrum, you're not even investing. And Coach Gloria spoke about too many certification that you have. That means invest money. I'm like, I've invested a whole lot. Like how much? Like $1,000. Like you're still joking. You've not started. So I will encourage, if you have my number, text me. I'll send you a signed copy. If not, you can also get a copy on Amazon, and I'm sharing the link. You can also get a copy on Amazon. But if you want to get a copy that's signed by me, if you have my number, send me a text, or send a text to the number I put in the screen. So you'll still get it. Apart from you doing Scrum, you need personal strength to go through your day successfully. One of the stuff which, if Coach Gloria, I'm permitted to say, I'm permitted to say, one of the stuff she did not share, which I'm taking her permission to share, when the time she landed multiple Scrum job, she was almost due for her baby, so she was like going through the last trimester.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I
But
was.
she told herself within 40 days, having multiple offers. And I remember the first day she put to bed, she was actually walking from the hospital bed. That's
Yeah.
what it takes to get off the comfort zone, right? To like forget about. And we actually have people who, when they are 6 months, they take leave from the community. Oh, I'm about to put to bed. I need 6 months to go prepare. Then I'm gonna come back. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have the right to do that, but there is a mindset and a mentality that when you catch that, it helps you. It makes life easy for you, and this doesn't just come easily. This is when you need to master the aspect of what it actually means to live beyond just what life gives you. So, while we are teaching you Scrum, one of the things we're very peculiar about is helping you not just look at Scrum, also helping you to live a life that many people in our that go through us, they don't just have Scrum. We had one of the students, she came to study Scrum. She ended up starting three businesses, doing
Mhm.
very well. Now she's still coaching. It's like, you know what? I'm learning this because that is even how I learned that I could get all of these jobs. But then now she's happy. So please, Scrum is bigger than just what you're thinking. And I want to give it back to Dr. Gloria for creating this time and actually pouring out to our audience today. And I tell people one of the reasons we have dedicated Thursday to come over and give you the reality is because we don't want you to go through the struggle many of us went through. We want you to be able to leverage what people that have gone ahead they've known to make it easier for you. So thank you very much. And I think I'm not sure we missed out a lot of questions, but I'm just gonna look through and see if there are a couple of questions we missed out and see how we can cover that. After a lot of self-studying, I was offered a job and I'm starting next week. Recruiters reach out saying another Scrum Master with a company want to connect prior to start. Is this common? Yes, very common. You've been offered a job, so you're already part of it. So they want to actually, maybe they can't wait to leave, or maybe they want to give you a couple of something, so, or maybe the recruiters just want them to prep you so that they don't lose the person coming in, right? Remember, most often when you go to a recruiting company, anything that happens, they call them. So sometimes they'll also make that liaison and have someone from the inside, especially if that person passed through their recruiting company. They can
Mhm.
have that person talk to you, prep you, tell you what to expect so that you can get ready before you get to the job. So I'm suggesting that's going to be an advantage for you instead of a disadvantage, Mr. Jones. So I would say that's not something negative.
Yeah.
It's not something negative. Yeah. All right, and Pascal said, can you brief us the studying process of Safe to Agile Coach to ROT? Uh, it's a very straightforward one. Now, normally, many people know about Scrum, but they don't know that there's a path that you can grow when you become a Scrum Master in a scale agile environment. The next position is a ROTE, Release Train Engineer Certification, which you're a Scrum Master at the program level. So you work more with product managers and system architects and all of that. Now you can move to another level called the SPC, where now you work at the enterprise level, you oversee all the processes. And there's even another higher level called the SPCT, where you become more of a public consultant. When the government they're doing budgeting and all of that, the SPC are the one that help them do what we call lean budgeting. Now, not just if you find yourself also in a Scrum environment, now from the Scrum, you can go to an Agile coach, and then from an Agile coach, you can go to an enterprise coach. Now, you can also divert while you're at the level of ROTE to work as an Agile program manager, to work as an Agile lead, and all of that. So there's quite some diversity that you can actually get in there and get going.
Yep.
All right. Dr. Gloria, what are your last word for our audience for today?
Yes. Last words are just if you're already on this call, that you're one step ahead, right? If you're on this call, you're already one step ahead. You're thinking about doing the right thing, which is become a scrum master, right? So just go in there, take it serious, put in the work, and you'll see success. But you have to put in the work. And there's a number on the screen. RADA is one of the best. Let me tell you something. I do a lot of research. I have a bachelor's in research and development, and I do a lot of research. And before I joined RADA, I did some research. I
Okay.
was looking for a good community of practice. I watched some videos on YouTube. There were other communities that I watched videos on YouTube of, but
Mm.
I chose RADA. I chose RADA because of the way things were structured, the website, the way things were structured. There were videos. I could rewatch the videos. I could do things at my own time, watch the videos, take notes. The people are accessible, people answer your questions, and I was like, okay, I chose one community, and it was the best community. You will notice some people go from community to community to community, and they see no success, right? Because they picked a community that just did not work for them. That community just did not work for you. But like I said, I did a lot of research. I'm good at doing research, and I picked RADA, and it was a very good decision I made. Very good decision. It's one of the best. Actually, to me, it's the best community, Scrum community.
I will agree with you. Now, when you listen to the people who come to our live show, and when you listen to them talk, you can actually know that you're not making a mistake of actually belonging to the community. We actually stretch you beyond what you think you know. And sometimes when people join, they get a bit upset with us because they're thinking things are going to run their own way, right? Oh, I want this, I want this. Now, when they get to understand that result is not about what you want, but about what you need to do to get the result. Now, many people want the wrong things. I want someone I can call on the phone to ask a question. I want someone that will just do my resume when I tell them to do your resume. But resume and talking to someone is not what you're going to do at a job. At a job, you're going to face real life questions. You're going to be sitting in front of your Scrum toolbox facilitating meeting. You're going to be troubleshooting. Now, when you go through that process, you're ready. So I do agree with you. Our goal is to create people who are not just Scrum Master, but when they get in, they can like, hey, do you have other people like you? We need more people like you. And when they talk, we can see them. I want to give it back to all our top coaches and uh, those who have been in. Next week, we are going to be back again, and we're planning kind of a simulation that is coming up very soon on PI planning. I know a lot of you have been expecting this, but there's a whole lot. Sometimes the time is not enough, but we'll try to do our best. Thank you very much. Do have a great rest of your week. Tomorrow is Friday. And plan some fun stuff during the weekend, and definitely give yourself some reward if you've been working so hard this week. If you've not been working so hard after listening to us, take the weekend off to study. So you can cash out some time. Thank you very much, and do have a great rest of your evening. And do not forget to share so that other people can also benefit. There's a whole lot that have been said. Share with somebody. Thank you.